Hi, everybody. My name is Jared Milrad. I'm the founder of Movikarma. We are a nonprofit organization based here in Los Angeles, focused on inclusion, equity, representation, and social impact in Hollywood. This is our podcast called Rewriting Hollywood, where we interview folks around the world who are having an impact through the power of storytelling. I have some really special guests you may have heard of today. We're missing one of the fabulous five. We got Fab Four. Hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping on.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for being on. So as I'm sure many of you listeners know, these amazing folks are on Queer Eye. We're now in season 6, which is amazing. I feel like it's gone pretty quick. I wanted to start with some lighter questions. First of all, I find joy. My husband and I found joy watching each season of your show. I know a lot of our listeners do as well. Tell us a little bit. Maybe I'll go to you, Tan. What has given you joy during the pandemic to sort of lighten things up during these couple of years?
That's a nice question. This is going to sound, but I actually do mean it. My husband, obviously, because of COVID, I've spent so much time at home, more time than you'd ever expect to be at home. So I've really. I always had a beautiful relationship with my husband, but it's gotten better and better, and he makes me happy. Honestly,
I was thinking, what about us?
Oh, yeah, but I was going
to say the same thing because my husband and I have been together for so long, and through a huge chunk of our relationship, we both traveled a lot.
Yeah.
So sometimes you think, do we work because we don't see each other that often? But the last 2 years, all we've done is see each other.
I know for me, like having the opportunity to be the surrogate for Tan's baby, and just like carry Tan's baby to term, and
you were so patient,
incredible,
and just so stunned.
You should have seen the labor.
Such
a good job.
The scientific feat too of that is really incredible.
In my first surrogacy, I had to do a C-section, and I really wanted to do a natural birth. So this time I did a VBAC, which is a vaginal birth.
Okay.
And
Next question.
I learned about that
really
story on TLC because I used to watch it all the time when I was a teenager. So that's why I always like to talk about VBACs, because I learned about it from that episode.
And then you had one. You've come full circle.
It's true. I didn't really.
No, we're all about inclusion here. So this is really great. It's really inspiring.
A whole day, and my brain stopped working now. It's officially working. I'm so sorry, but I love you.
No, it's totally fine, Jeff. No, we have plenty of questions for you too. No, that was nice. Thank you, Tan, for the rational answer. No, I also want to ask about a couple of the episodes, because you have some really cool ones this season. I'm the vegan animal activist weird gay kid growing up, and so seeing the episode with Jamie in Snow White of Central Texas, I think it's episode 7, where you go to work with someone who's an animal rescue person who's just been selfless and giving their whole life to not only animals but also special needs kids. Bobby, I saw you were particularly really moved, and Anthony too, in that episode. Just tell us a little bit about what that meant to work with her, because I feel like she was such a selfless person who wasn't obviously really caring, doing great self-care for herself.
It was, so many of our heroes do so much for the community, but to help somebody that does so much for the helpless animals that have no control over their own little destiny, to be able to help a woman who goes in there and does the absolute most, not just for animals and for special need animals, but for special need children who also don't always have control of their own destiny. It really meant a lot, because she is just such an amazing person who a lot of times we have pushback because people just don't want to change. We had a little pushback from her because she just didn't want to think about herself. She was one of the most selfless heroes we've ever had. So the moment I saw those animals, I know that Anthony and I both started bawling. I'm surprised actually the amount of crime that didn't make it into the episode.
I would argue that I don't even think she was reticent for help. I certainly got as soon as we arrived on the farm, because our heroes people ask this all the time, but our heroes are genuinely shocked when we show up.
Yes.
Because what production tells them is that they're just shooting B-roll.
Don't tell them the secret in case someone else sees it.
Oh, that's true. But anyway, the point is they're genuinely shocked when we arrive. Like, they don't expect us to actually come. And you could just, I saw her shoulders just drop, and she just started crying with like a sense of relief that we had arrived. And I think part of the reason why I was touched, other than every single story of every single animal and the human interactions that they have with those animals, it started from a very personal place with her. She had, she has a child who has very special needs, and she learned about the important relationship that humans can have with animals in terms of as a form of therapy. And then she decided to use something that was so personal and so true to her story and started sharing it with other people. And that for me, like, I'll never stop crying when I see an example of that.
Yeah, that was really powerful. And I loved, Anthony, too, that you were incorporating plant-based cooking, kind of asked her, where she's at. Because I know that's something that she said she felt a little bit, because there's pressure, right? Are you fully vegan? Where are you at in that journey? And that was cool that you asked her, kind of what she's comfortable with.
I try not to lead with that. I never want to come in with the insinuation or the assumption that I'm going to be going like plant-based, for example, at a place like Safe in Austin. But in Jamie's own family and with everybody who works with her, there are a lot of people who are like very severely plant-based and other people who eat meat. And it's hard for her to tackle that while being a mom, while being a caretaker and tending to everybody's needs. So I just try to keep the questions as open-ended as possible. And as soon as I see an opportunity, I just jump on it.
Yeah, I love that. That was really, really cool.
It was really good cauliflower steak.
I was gonna say that looked bomb. It's not always the most pertinacious for us vegans, but it looked delicious, and I would have been there and ate it totally.
And I have to give credit to Gordon Ramsay's masterclass because he did a different version of that I watched like a year prior. So I was inspired by that recipe. Yeah, no, sign me up for that. Vegans, I'm sure were jumping out of their chairs watching that episode. I wanted to ask you about A Night to Remember. Jonathan, getting to you. This is an episode with Navarro High School. A lot of the things we work on a nonprofit here at our podcast, Rewriting Hollywood 2, is all about inclusion and equity. And this is such a powerful episode on those topics because you're working with kids who are mostly of Latino backgrounds, underserved, lower income, on the free lunch program. And this is the prom committee that was planning this Night to Remember, but didn't have really a lot of resources. And Jonathan, I saw you were kind of, running around the room doing double duty as a stylist and giving advice. And just talk about, I wonder what the impacts of that episode was for you, Jonathan, particularly, because it seemed like a lot of those kids were really, just really excited to be there and have this opportunity and have these really difficult life circumstances too.
Well, I thought it was just incredible the way that Navarro High School offered like all of these like dual programs where like it was like your high school diploma, but then you could become like an electrician or you could do to cosmetology school. And I mean, after spending that day, I was like, oh my gosh, I really miss cosmetology school. It's kind of fun. I forgot about it. Just like so many mannequins, so much personality. It was just really so much fun. And getting to meet every single one of those people on that episode, they were all just such amazing people. And I really meant to when I was like, oh my God, maybe America will be okay after all, because just such bright, shiny, gorgeous minds. And it was just so much fun to get to have that opportunity. And I will say that I missed those 3 months when the CDC said that we could be vaccinated and unmasked inside. Oh, because that was when we shot. And that was like really like when we thought that you could just like, like be inside and not have your masks on for those 3 months. That was like fun.
We missed the old days.
It was nice.
Yeah, the window. Yeah, the brief moment we could breathe. Tan, I wanted to get to you on just this broader theme of how divided our country is. You spend this season in Austin, Texas. It's sort of known as this liberal bastion. My background is working, I worked for President Obama. I've been in politics for much of my life. So I've seen these divides up close. And I was curious, Tan, for you, especially, coming to this country, doing this show, like, what was your impression of how, in my sense, I feel like we were watching this season, we're more united than we give ourselves credit for. We have more in common than that which divides us. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I see this season, actually not just this season, I see our show as being a show of hope. I represent many things personally that one would consider marginalized, and people who are marginalized or communities who are marginalized. And so I think I can speak to this better than most when I say, yes, there are a lot of problems that we have in our country, but not just in our country, globally, with how people are treated. I think that we highlight on our show just how much hope and love and support there is for each other. So often in the media, we see the most aggressive of people on either end voicing their opinions. It's not really often that we see what in my opinion, the majority of the world feels and how they view each other. And I think there are many more people in the world who believe that we have more in common than we might think. And I would like to believe that if we offer nothing else to the world, it's hope.
Yeah, you really do. Now, that's actually, maybe each of you want to comment on this quickly, wondering like if you've gotten a piece of advice that has given you hope from one of the heroes this season or in another season that has stuck with you, something they've said to you.
I'll say it's not necessarily advice, it's just watching the way people treat other people. And there's been many, so I'm not singling out any people as not doing this, but the people that come to mind are the likes of Mama Tammy, Yoko-san from our special Japanese season, Jerica, Jamie. Like, there have been so many people that the way they live their lives have inspired me so greatly.
Miss T.
Yeah, Tara.
Yeah, beautiful. On the point of just you touched on this, marginalized folks in the last couple of minutes we have here. There's a beautiful episode this season with Angel. Angel Gets Her Wings, episode 2. Angel Flores is an Olympic weightlifting coach. Folks should watch the episode if you haven't. I'm curious how that episode impacted you all, because I feel like this is a person who was really discovering themselves, really coming into their own, and you really helped that journey along so beautifully. But also someone who is, kind of marginalized in society in many ways. What are the impacts of working with folks like that who, would otherwise not feel seen, not feel heard?
One of the physical impacts of her episode is that I got a new trainer. She's my trainer now, and I get to see her.
Oh, that's bad.
We've been seeing each other 5 days a week for the last 3 months, and she's just such an incredible person and such a just strength of a person inside and out. And I just love her so much, and I'm so proud of her and her journey. And I think that she has such a mission to share with the world, and I just think she's amazing. Bobby, what do you think?
One of the things that's phenomenal is on my way to New York, I got picked up in the morning from my house in LA, and the driver was an elderly guy, I would say probably in his 70s. And I get in the car and he looks at me and he's like, "Oh my God, hi, I just have to tell you that my daughter is 27 and she just came out as trans. And watching this season has helped us understand our daughter in a way that we would never have been able to." So to be able to have that effect and to help families come together when it might have taken them a bit longer to come around is, to me, one of the most important jobs I've ever had in my life. And I feel honored to be able to help tell these people's stories and help the world have more understanding, and thus with understanding, more acceptance.
Yeah, beautifully said. We need more of it for sure. My last question is really on that note, Bobby, thinking back about your younger selves, something we like to ask all of our guests, which is if you could go back to when you were younger and tell yourself one thing that maybe you realize now you didn't know then, wondering what that would be.
I mean, it would be to love yourself. I think we all struggle with that as children, being gay or fluid or non-binary, and not being like everybody else and feeling inadequate because of that. It's just be yourself, love yourself. Going as queer children, we often think it's the worst times of our life, and it possibly is. But you know what? Your adult time, that's when we thrive. We might have rough childhoods as queer kids in school, but we're the coolest when we get to be adults.
Oh yeah.
And also, I think it's don't do meth.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, for the most part. Yeah.
Don't do cocaine, mushrooms, marijuana. We can talk about that when you're a little older, but definitely no uppers. Stay away from meth. That's what I really wish I would. And not even once. Don't even try it once. Is what I would try for myself when I was.
That's good advice for me. I think
it's really serious.
No, I'm not.
So not no to all drugs, just like most.
Just meth, especially.
And well, there's others for me personally, but mostly that.
And educate yourself on the consequences.
It's really so important. And pass care, okay? Because not a very full-bodied educational program, if you ask me.
Mine's a little different, as much as I agree with what you're saying. A lot of my teens in my 20s, I was trying to control things that I just had no control over, and I was being hard on myself about things I had no control over, like my sexuality, for example. And I wish I would have just told myself those advice that was given to me by a mentor a few years ago, and I wish I heard this even as a kid, was just to be gentle with myself.
What would you say to your younger self, Danny?
I think I would say to myself that I get to be happy, and that is okay, and I should feel no shame in being happy. If everybody else in my community gets to be, why can't I?
Tanny, that almost made me
I love
cry.
that.
That felt
That's
so.
really
I love that. That compared to the no method in wisdom. I mean, that was a good contrast.
It was a
Everything
great
needed,
juxtaposition.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you all of you. Good advice. Even from Jonathan. Thank you all of you. We're currently for the listeners who can't see. I guess Tan's ears are getting massaged right now by JVN. So that's
I always
that's good.
benefit from Jonathan's massages. Thank you.
Yeah.
A good way to close. I get our guests today. Sadly minus Karama, but otherwise Tan, Anthony, Jonathan, Bobby from Queer Eye season 6. You should all check it out. It's a really great season, and just on a personal, thank you for all what you're doing. You're having an impact in so many.
One more thing,
great
I'm so
stuff.
sorry.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
want to make it
Yes.
just sick. Like he
Oh,
was-
Karama's like, oh, he did not want to come. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we are still the
Okay.
Fab Five. Yes.
It's still Fab Five. Okay, so I wanted to say Fab Four.
I feel like
Okay.
you don't feel good these days.
Yes.
You know, it's like not responsible.
Okay. We'll forgive him. We'll just do a solo with Karama next time.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.